In my 15,000 day hardcore Minecraft world, I have 2 tree farms in one. I have both Crimson and Warped Woods farmed fully automatically in a factory I like to call my tree and tree farm. This started off as a raised workspace tree farm, but I have modified it pretty heavily over the years for reliability. I will have his video linked below. So far, I've shown you the one wide tileable auto crafters for my iron farm and bamboo farms in this series. But now it's time to take a look at the auto crafters I designed for turning logs into any wood item. And while technically I did make this for nether woods, it'll work for any wood farm. As always, we're starting off here in the world download. This will be linked in the description to be updated to include the new farm. But let's get over to the wood auto crafters. First thing you're going to see on the left here is actually the wood farm exactly as it's built in my hardcore world. The actual farm itself would be built above this and would be coming down into the various inputs, but this is exactly all the redstone for the auto crafters ripped out and put on display how I have it laid out. So I start off by keeping 3 shulker boxes of stems or logs. Then it makes the warped hyphae, or this would be called the wood for any other thing. Then we get planks, and then we go to stairs, slabs, doors, and trapdoors. Then it gets over to pressure plates and buttons, which have to operate at a different speed because of how few planks they use. Then lastly, there is fences, fence gates, and signs that need to have sticks combined with the planks. So this is designed for the farm to fill up the wood, and it's supposed to fill up all these shulker boxes, so then you could just have a shulker box of everything on hand and come here and grab fences if you need. But then if you have a really big project somewhere where you need a lot of wood, it's going to have shulker loaded logs over here for you to go take those and build with them. But the goal is for if I ever need, like, oh man, I need some slabs to spawn proof something, I can come here and I can grab a full shulker box of warped slabs and go spawn proof a whole build with them. Then once you take that shulker box, the farm will use what it has in its buffer to craft and refill that automatically, or when the farm turns on again, it'll come down and fill up that slot. This is the exact same thing, just built in the opposite direction for Crimson. This farm also produces excess bone meal from the warped side. So that bone meal would come into here, and then it could craft into white dye, and then it could craft into shulker boxes of bone blocks. None of that is new because you would have seen that in my iron farm already for the poppies. But this is one less step of crafting since it is just a direct bone meal input. And then lastly is shulker boxes of shroom lights, which no crafting can be done, but the farm does output those. Then we decided to include this is my standard design that I use for auto crafting shulker boxes. We'll go over that as well. It's not one wide tileable, so it doesn't really fit this YouTube series, but it is the design that I use to feed shulkers to all my shulker loaders for any of these. So I'll have it here on this platform to show you too. Something new I've added for this world download is actually these barrels here. This is going to have the materials needed to craft exactly what's seen. So obviously, if you don't have such a long hopper lead up, you're going to need a few less hoppers and droppers at the top. This also does omit this column here on all of them where it's just an extra block and the shulkers, because I would expect you to figure out your own storage solution. But in here is going to be all of the items you need to craft that specific slice. And any of these at the bottom could be any solid block. Anywhere you see black stone, red concrete, or a mushroom light, those could just be any solid block. And in this updated world tour, we will have the updated barrels for item counts in the previous 2 platforms and all future platforms. But let's get on to the first auto crafter and see if I can explain this to make sense. It's going to be able to take any log and turn it into any bark covered wood. So we have every single wood type displayed here and its output that it can make. So what'll happen is the log comes down here, it goes into this auto crafter that will take 4 of them. When it has all 4 of them in there, this signal strength will go up to 9, which will cause a pulse to go over and send a craft into here. Those will go down and fill into the Hyphaes. If I throw this out of here, you should see this will turn on. As items start flowing through, it does a craft, and it keeps on going. Now, this here at the bottom is just a detector for when there is items in this hopper. That's going to send a signal up and lock these hopper droppers right here to stop items from flowing in, and that will turn it off when this is full. Next up is a different design still with one auto crafter to make planks. It needs to operate at a different time. So obviously logs come down here and make their way into the crafter. This can be pre-filled with up to 64, so it's not going to be locked above like the other one. What this is going to do is it's going to be looking for if there is any items in this dropper. If we empty this and there's no items in the dropper, what you see is the signal goes over here to this torch. It extends into this timer, and that timer is going to very quickly pulse this and throw in quite a few planks, and then those are going to drain out, and it's going to send its next pulse again, and repeating until there's items that remain in this dropper because everything else is full. Next up is going to be the first auto crafter design that has 2 crafters. This one is going to take the logs and turn it into planks, and then turn those planks into any of these items. These are items that are needed with only planks, and as you can see here, boats are possible, but there are no boats for the woods that I chose, but I have added those symbolically over to the side. The way this is going to work is the logs start at the top and they make their way down into here. This is going to be what crafts them from logs to stems, and then we will go take those and put in whatever pattern you want here. This will be detected when it's full, will turn to 9 and will send a signal to send this craft. What we have down here is just a full detector again. So if we take these out, you'll see this turns off, sends a signal up, and that starts pulsing this here. When those are pulsing, it's going to be pulsing these copper bulbs, which add another layer of delay for each one that you see here. That is to get us a timer that pulses with enough time for the items to flow down out of here and not overflow too quickly and make these items. So this does craft slower than the hopper items might be coming in. But it does get everything crafted without spewing items, and it will shut off when it's full. Next up, these are for the items that only need 1 or 2 planks, so they can't have that detector there because it would be too small of a delay. So we can make buttons and pressure plates of any of these woods. It's going to start here. Logs are going to come down and go into this auto crafter to make crimson stems into planks. Those will come down and be crafted into pressure plates here or buttons, and then it will come and fill up until it hits items stuck in this hopper. If we take items out of here, it's going to turn that on by allowing a signal to go up through here, and that is going to do 2 checks here. It's going to send a signal out this way to... Okay, my bad. So the crafting mechanism for this one is a bit unique. It actually is all based off of whether or not there are any planks in this dropper. So what's going to happen is when there is planks in this dropper, this observer will be pushed outwards, and that will allow these 2 to pulse together, and that'll send a signal down to these copper bulbs, which will send a delayed signal over here to do crafts. Then when this runs out, it will be retracted and it'll pulse with this observer, sending a signal up top here to craft more logs into planks. All of this is dependent on this hopper being empty and the redstone torch line sending a signal here to extend both this one and this one. Those will both be retracted if that is full, so that way no matter what position this observer's in, it will not be doing either of the crafts. Next up is the design that I have for merging the planks with sticks. So this is the first one with 3 crafters, and this is actually the last crafter I have built in my hardcore world. But what this is going to do is it's going to get our logs in at the top, bring them down into planks. Then those planks will pre-fill down into this crafter. And then once this all backs up, it will then be sending planks over here to make sticks, and those sticks will then go down and merge into here. You have to have one of these slots be sticks, and then it'll be able to get sticks and planks into that crafter. So for this farm to run, this hopper needs to be empty. When that comparator is off, when it's empty, that allows this hopper clock to pulse. That hopper clock is then going to be pulsing a string of copper bulbs to even slow it down further. Then when that eventually sends a signal over, that will send our craft to here. There is the output for sticks right here that has a comparator. Whenever that output changes to nothing or comes back on, it sends a pulse and powers this observer, which powers this crafter, therefore crafting more sticks, which will always keep sticks ready to go into here. Then this is the dropper where planks are created, and we are checking that with a comparator, and that's going to send the signal up over here. So whenever it runs out of planks, it will push this down and craft some more here. But at the same time, this torch is going to be getting a signal which goes down and is extended down to here. And whenever it is crafting planks, we retract this copper bulb, meaning that it's not going to be crafting anything from the output if there is not planks backed up all the way to the top. So this will need to be pre-filled before you turn it on so that the sticks can be in place and it'll have planks up into this dropper. Something I forgot to mention for this one is that you can actually make any of the wooden tools from this. Not that I have it set up to do so, but you definitely could if you desired to. Next up is something I added purely for this video. I don't have this built in my hardcore world because you can't make boats out of the nether woods, but I am making this to target to be crafting every wood item. So we are going to add this one here, which will make boats with chests. This is a modified version of the one from my bamboo farm over there. The only difference being some timing at the top. So what's going to happen is your logs, your non-nether logs, are going to come down into here and be crafted into planks. That is then going to bring your planks down straight into here to autofill your boat auto crafter. And then once that backfills, it's going to go over and fill up your chest auto crafter. Then once that hits a signal strength of 9, meaning that it's full, that's going to send a pulse over here and craft both the chest and the boats at the same time. Those will then move down together and go into this crafter. And once that is full and this signal strength goes up to 9, your chest with boat will come out and go down here. So give that some space and it'll turn on. It is fairly quick. That's going to detect that hopper being empty and send a signal up here. That's going to start this pulsing the copper bulbs. The copper bulbs are going to send a very delayed signal over here to craft planks, and that's going to make sure the planks don't overfill. And then that is going to pre-fill the boat first, and then also additionally fill up the chests only after the boats are full, and that's why we pull the signal off of the chests. Now keep in mind, these will be identical for either of the nether woods or any of the overworld logs to make anything given here. The only thing that would have to be changed out is the patterns in the final crafter. With that said, there's a couple more crafters, like I said at the beginning. This one will turn any excess bone meal into white dye. So the bone meal will make its way down here into this crafter, and this is going to use a simple system to detect this dropper being full. And once it's not full, that's going to send a signal over here to cause pulses to pulse this very rapidly until it does have some items in it, and it'll turn off and once it's full. So then the last one-wide tileable auto crafter I have here is to turn bone meal into bone blocks and then shulker load those. This is going to start up here with the bone meal coming in, and that's going to go down through this dropper into this crafter where it turns into bone blocks. Those bone blocks will then move down into the shulker, which then is where you get your shulker input right here. And then once this is full up, it will output that shulker box into here. So everything from this hopper onwards is a standard shulker loader that I got from Kale. I'll have his video linked in the description. I use his shulker loaders for everything because they are one wide tileable and reliable. But above that, we have a simple system here to detect when this is full by, it'll go to a 9 and send the pulse over and craft it. But then here in the middle, before we get to the shulker loader, we have a detector for if bone blocks are backed up into here, meaning we run out of shulker boxes or something is broken with the shulker loader. That's going to send a signal over to here and send a signal up and over to lock these hoppers if that ever gets full. But if you're anything like me, you don't ever want to run out of shulkers. What we have here is a auto crafter for shulkers. So you give this an input of chests and shells and you get shulker boxes. I have a simple setup right here where you can dump a full double chest of shells and a full double chest of chests. Those will both go here. Spectator mode underneath will show you that these two chests just have a single hopper line that goes into this auto crafter. We also pull a signal from the back of both of those chests into a redstone torch and then tie into this same hopper line with a signal from this top dropper. What that means is if either of these chests are empty or this dropper is full, this redstone line will be on. And whenever this redstone line is on, that's going to stop this timer. So for demonstration purposes, we're going to give this a little bit of capacity and it will start filling that double chest there with shulker boxes. So what you can see is whenever this signal is off, it allows this timer to go around. And that timer is just going to trigger this dropper tower. And then the dropper tower is actually going to allow this pulse right here to go through and power the crafter itself. So this is a very compact way to have it fully crafting shulker boxes, and it will make sure it doesn't run out of items in the crafter so the pattern doesn't get broken, and it'll keep items going up here until wherever hopper line you have above it is full, and then that will keep all your shulker loaders backlogged full and will create them on demand whenever something is taken out of there. Something that I just realized and I need to clarify is this top dropper actually needs to be a hopper. Because it needs to be able to get rid of the shulker boxes on its own without receiving a signal. So that was just a problem when we copied it over here. So then this hopper would lead to a hopper line, and you can see that when that has space, it will auto empty and pull from there, and then it'll refill itself up until there's shulkers that stay in there. And then when the items have room again, it'll turn back on and craft some more. So I hope you found this video informative. I really enjoy making these, and it really gets my brain going. I hope I was able to explain it to you guys to where you can understand it. Obviously, if anything's confusing or you have questions or comments, leave that below. I want to know what you think about these farms. And as I mentioned, I am designing these all in hardcore in my long-term 15,000 day world. If you haven't seen that world and you're interested in seeing the process, all those VODs are on my channel, and you can watch me live 6 nights a week. Make sure you tune in. I'll also throw in that if you like the sound of a 15,000 day hardcore world, you should check out the world tour that came out just a little while ago. But as always, I need to end this with thanking all my supporters over here. You guys are amazing. I couldn't do it without you. And I hope to make some more auto crafters in the future. I think you should be expecting another video from this pretty soon.